let's see what else. And another weird thing at JRTC is they have wild fucking horses there. Okay, and nobody wants to take these wild horses because they have some kind of weird horse VD. Like, what the fuck? Hello everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode. Live from the Lair. Alright, so this is what we got going on here. Alright, these are these stories are from 2013 to roughly 2018. And some crazy ass shit that went on there, but we'll get to that in due time. Alright, so I roll in, to Utica, New York, start riding the desk, doing my deal. And I think I was there like 2 or 3 months. And we get a tasker sent down from higher that we're supposed to put together a team to go to JRTC. Now, JRTC is very similar to NTC, except it's run, instead of being run in California, it's run in Louisiana. And Louisiana fucking sucks, man. Alright. It's hot, it's humid, and it rained quite a bit. And we didn't get any real time to fucking go out and see the town at all. It fucking sucked. But they found out that I had 2 rotations, at NTC, and I had just got done doing a rotation at NTC. So, I was the guy tasked to basically plan the fucking whole thing. Alright, so the same thing happened in regards to, it happened with NTC both times, and it happened at JRTC. Now, they built the scenarios at that time with a civil affairs component actually built into the scenario. So I have no idea why Big Army can't give us the fucking accounting numbers and shit to get our tickets paid for and get our fucking equipment shipped and all that other stuff. I mean, it was just beyond me. It literally took almost 2 months, between the time where we got the actual tasking and literally like 11 days out from the mission before the accounting lines were added to the DTS, which is basically stands for the Defense Travel System. And it's this huge computer network where everyone in the DoD, gets authorizations and money, for paying plane tickets and stuff like that. And everyone is issued a government travel card, which is a credit card, and it's just absolutely fucking crazy. There's so many checks and balances in that, to the point where it loses its efficientness. So we have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get some weapons cases. The supply guy had at the time did a great job and got that knocked out. We packed up the equipment, from the arms room, and we were only allowed to bring just a limited amount of actual, foot lockers and boxes. And those were all being flown civilian air anyway, since 11 days out from mission, it's impossible, to ship anything there and get it on time or put anything on the railhead. So again, we're like turbo fucked. So we load up, I think 2 or 3 240s with the tripods, the T&E, night vision, radios, a lot of the other gear that you need for that particular kind of shit. And I mean, that went fairly well, and we really had to juggle the logistics to get us to basically Syracuse Airport, and I did exactly the same thing I did before in Michigan. Is as soon as I got the tasking, I literally called out to the Syracuse Airport, got a hold of the Homeland Security guy, and I drove down there, did a face-to-face. You know, he told me all the procedures. I gave him the amount of boxes we're going to have. I told him roughly how many weapons, and I would get him the memorandums for the equipment and all of the weapons with serial numbers for everything 72 hours prior to our arrival at the airport. And they made sure he had 2 extra agents on standby just to handle the overflow. And we got there on time, and we jumped fucking out our ass to get the whole thing unfucked. So we basically show up there, have to open up everything, unpack everything. They have to verify it's all there, put it all back in there, and then band it, and then they took charge. And I remember we were going down there, and we had, my flight went straight through, but 2 other flights got diverted for weather issues. So that caused a lot of fucking pandemonium on the ground, because we had to wait for 2 waves of soldiers to show up over, I think it was a 52-hour period, about 2 days, a little over 2 days. And the boxes, several of the boxes that had M240 machine guns in them were MIA. That is a big no-no. And we contacted the airport, and we actually called, I believe we called the FBI, and faxed over to them, the memorandums and with all of the hand receipts, serial numbers, and everything. And I guess the FBI called, I believe it was Delta was the carrier, and then they jumped out of their ass. And 13 hours later, we had to jump. We basically had to, again jump through hoops to make it back to the airport to get the machine guns, and then we were 100% on our equipment. Now, JRTC is not the same as NTC. NTC, we lived in a huge chicken shack building. At JRTC, when we first got there for the first, I think it was 5 or 6 days where they do the planning and organizing, and the rest of the unit shows of the participants that are going to take place show up. We lived in this huge structure tent kind of thing. It was a hard shell, but it had like canvas that you could raise and put down and stuff. And humid as fuck, no air conditioning. And it just rained like a motherfucker. I fucking hated it. Food sucked. It was terrible. And in fact, I don't know how this actually happened, because soldiers who have, this type of allergy to a degree that this particular soldier had shouldn't be allowed in the service. But he slipped through basically this particular soldier slipped through the fucking cracks. He wasn't even in my unit. He was just another, I think it was like another tent next to us, another building next to us. And, we all went to chow at the same time, and they had like 2 menus. They had like some kind of shrimp gumbo, and then they had beef stroganoff on noodles or whatever. I mean, it was all the same noodles. They just had the toppings they put on the noodles had shrimp in it. The other one had beef. Well, this particular soldier went to the chow line, ordered the beef, but they were basically serving it up with the same utensils, and some of the shrimp funk got on his food, and he's allergic to shrimp. So he ate his chow, and on the way back to the tent, his throat started to close up. He was going into anaphylactic shock. Now, we had a medic that we took down there who actually was a cop and, was a Army trained medic. And he jumped out of his ass and basically got their lickety split, gave him, I think, 2 or 3 EpiPens, and got him stabilized until the meta flight came down, and the helicopter picked him up and took him to the hospital. Our medic saved that guy's life. That's just fucking awesome. And unfortunately, he later developed some kind of medical condition that he had to get out of the service. But nobody really knows, how your health will be day to day. Hell, none of us are even promised tomorrow. So these things happen. I got really nothing negative to say about that particular soldier. He did his deal. He stood his watch. And as far as I'm concerned, he's square with the house with me anyway. So we finally, we get tasked out. I think we had 4 CA teams. And we get tasked out to 4 different battalions, or 3 different battalions, and then 1 to the headquarters. So the company commander went to the headquarters. He was major at the time, and this particular commander, I don't know how we did it, but he never raised his voice, never got angry, never really had anything negative to say. And, when I was flipping out over some of the stuff, he'd listen to me, flipping out, and he'd be like, well, Popp, the Army is not a perfect place. People make mistakes, and shit happens. We just have to deal with it. And the first couple times he told me that, I was kind of mad. But in the grand scheme of things, I consider myself a pretty wise person. And I was basically, yeah, I guess you're right, sir. What are you going to do? Now, that was back in I think we're still in the first year of Redonkulous. Pretty much everyone that was with me knew what I was doing. And I remember, just to break up the monotony and the craziness, I would interview the soldiers in my company, and I compiled a couple of lists. One was the mail shopping rules episode. I did that one. And Dignity Siphon. I finished that one there. I started off with Sportello. Gave me a lot of ideas. And then classic mistakes that men make. Those are like the 3 episodes that I wrote up while I was doing that. I think it was 3-week or 4-week mission. And it is what it is. But, we got a kick out of it. Now, everyone has a cell phone, but for whatever reason, my reception was absolute shit there. So I could only really text, and it was very shaky. And what I would do, I learned this trick a while ago, is at night when they're not using the flagpole, I would text what I want, on my phone, hit send, and then I had it attached to the flagpole. I'd run it up the flagpole for about 30 seconds, pull it down, okay, and then I'd wait, 10, 15 minutes, go back to the flagpole, put my phone back on there, put it up there again, wait for about 5 minutes, bring the phone down, and I would have my text answers, So, when there's a will, there's a way. And some of the other soldiers saw me doing that technique, and they're like, oh, Sergeant Popp, that must be some SF stuff right there, because, I can get text messages now, it's great, But, we got yelled at a couple days later because a lot of guys were doing it, and they didn't want to have that many people fucking around by the flagpole. So, what are you going to do? My particular team gets attached to the battalion that is basically cavalry for this brigade combat team. All right, this is the Cav. I believe it was 7th Cav, not sure. Or I don't remember the designation. But it was an active duty cavalry unit, right? This was an active duty unit we were pulling civil affairs for. And they give us our Humvee. It's me and I think 2 other guys in my particular vehicle, and we had a second vehicle with like 2 more guys in it. And I had my own particular cadre that was, specifically following behind the civil affairs and was attached to me, and basically I was under the microscope, which I welcomed, because before I left on this whole thing, I knew that this was going to be a shitty, fucked up mission. So instead of bringing a laptop with everything on it, digitally, I put together a little briefcase, and I had all of the forms and flow charts and, blank op orders and all of the different reports that we're supposed to, make as civil affairs and send them up the chain. I had all that in an analog kit. So, some guys made some smart ass, fucking comments. I look like a fucking army fucking dork. But I gotta go fucking max. Because you can't go wrong. When you open up the briefcase, you pull out the exact fucking report that you need. And on that report, it has every line item every piece of information that you need when you talk to the particular individuals that are in need of civil affairs. And you just can't go wrong. There's no winging it. Literally, I just did it all, that way, which worked out well. And the first 3 days in the field, we didn't do shit. The Cav didn't use us at all. We were not even an afterthought. We literally, just sat in the vehicle. When it was raining, we slept in the vehicle, which was fucking hard to do, but you get tired, it doesn't matter. And every evening, you would, basically get on the radio and try to call back to battalion to talk to, the civil affairs element that was up at headquarters. And we would report the same thing: no action, not using us; no action, not using us; no action, not using us. And finally, headquarters up there said, fuck it. They basically unplugged us from Cav and sent us over to the straight leg infantry, part of the brigade combat team. Which, was okay. The straight leg infantry, that kind of sucks. But we still had our Humvee, so I walked a lot more than I was prepared for. See, as you get older, I was still thinking that, hey, I'm an infantry guy at heart. I should be able to do this. But your body gets old and shit goes fucking south. So on this one particular mission, we were going with this infantry unit to basically, they were attacking the objective, and then we were supposed to follow in behind them and do the civil affairs. So I'm walking with a battalion of infantry. It was like 3 companies, I think. I was attached to one of the companies. All these guys in the infantry are like 33 years old or less, except for like the first sergeants and sergeant major, which I didn't see him. Well, I saw him, but he wasn't on this particular mission. So I show up with my guys, I look at the fucking op order. We're walking basically like 6 or 7 miles to do the attack, and I'm just following behind these guys through the fucking basically jungle or swamp. 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It's so close to jungle, but it's technically a swamp. All right, so I walk in there. They do their deal. We get to the objective. I pull out my little kit. I fucking do everything by the numbers, and then we're waiting for extraction. And I was so fucking tired. I was falling asleep standing up. I was fucking wrecked. It was shameful. And, my guys made fun of me. What are you going to do? It is what it is. But yeah, whew. Let's see what else. And another weird thing at JRTC is they have wild fucking horses there. Okay, and nobody wants to take these wild horses because they have some kind of weird horse VD. Like, what the fuck? And they're so used to, being around the humans. Like, literally, we're driving down the road and the horses would just, they won't even run across the road. They just kind of casually walk. And then you have to wait there for like 100 or something horses to walk by. And you got to get on the radio and say, we got a break in contact with horses, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong. I like horses. And they were kind of nice to look at, especially in the morning when the sun's coming up and you see the basically the mist burning off the field. And you just see horses just standing around out there, and they'll walk right by you. They are totally cool human beings. I thought that was pretty weird. Yeah, and then they brought us back to the flagpole after it was like 3 or 4 more days. My team got recalled back to the flagpole, and from there. We were tasked to basically babysit the NGOs, the non-government organizations, and basically appease them to keep them fucking from doing or getting in the way or doing stupid shit. And I thought that was pretty good. And then on another mission that we got attached to, we're driving up to the objective. And I am in an open air 5-ton truck, and I have 2 platoons of guys in the truck. And everywhere you go in JRTC, there's helicopters everywhere. Some of them are just observer helicopters. Some of them are actually enemy air. So we're rolling up, and the truck behind us, their miles gear goes off because they basically got lit up. Now, I don't want to have to play the, go back to the reconstitution point and then work your way back up here game. So I'm looking up and I see the helicopter and I'm like, everybody on your feet, start shooting. So basically, I have 2 platoons of guys stand up in the back of a fucking 5-ton. And some of them have saws, and there was like, 1 or 2 240s. And literally everybody's like, just shooting at this helicopter. And lo and behold, we trigger its miles, we kill a helicopter, and it has to fly away. So, because when they only lost 1 truck of guys, they were actually able to continue on and do the mission, and it was fairly successful. So I thought that was pretty cool. And this is the best part here. So we get done with JRTC. And there was, I don't know what kind of snafu it was or what was going on with the flights. DTS, I have no idea. So they basically charter a bus, and we get driven back from JRTC in Louisiana to Utica, New York. It was almost 2 straight days. Okay, they had 2 changeovers where the bus driver would pull over, he would have a bag, he would get off, and another one would come on, put his bag down, and just keep driving. And I thought that was pretty fucking cool. I'm just saying. I thought that was pretty cool. But, what are you going to do? That was JRTC. All right. So we got called back up to the headquarters. We have 3 vehicles. This is an active duty unit, and there's people moving all over the place. Nobody knows what to do with us. We've been awake for 21 hours. We need to get some sleep. So we park our 3 vehicles, put up engineering tape between the vehicles, and then we hang chem lights, and we lay down and we're trying to sleep. Well, one of the first sergeants that was there, was like, who the hell? He's like yelling at, who the hell's that over there? And I'm like, I didn't really think anything of it. He comes over, and like I have my commander there, I have my first sergeant there, and this first sergeant has got like his entourage of, 5 or 6, enlisted guys in his company, which are probably 24 years old to 18 years old, and he's like talking shit, like what, I'm gonna kick some ass. That's what And I'd been up, and I'd had enough. And I remember I stepped right to the first sergeant, and I said, you know what, first sergeant? If you don't shut your motherfucking mouth, you're going to get fucking laid out. Because you're not talking to me like that, or anyone in my fucking company. Fuck you. So, he fucking goes off, and like 10 minutes later, the sergeant major comes over there, and he's like, you guys have a problem with my first sergeant? I'm like, I don't fucking care, what you guys think of us or me, but I've been in this game for a long time, and I'm not going to have a first sergeant walk up to my perimeter, talk to me like he's going to kick my ass or start kicking the shit out of my commander and my first sergeant. I'll fucking push his face in. Just keep him the fuck away from me. And he was like, okay, and that was it. That first sergeant never spoke to us again. And because I don't know what the fuck his problem was, but you're not fucking, just a word to the wise out there. If you guys out there in the regular army, if you're working with guys who are special forces qualified or ranger qualified guys, or guys from the ranger battalion that later on in their career, they're doing other things, and you want to talk down to those guys or fucking, threaten them or be fucking stupid, be prepared for direct action, because those are not the people you want to fuck with. All right? They will fuck you up. And they have better connections than you probably will with people in the Pentagon, because a lot of guys from the special op community go work at the Pentagon. And like, I've done it myself. I knew a guy 2 doors down was the SecDef. I emailed him a fucking bunch of documents and had them put on the SecDef's desk. So it's not that much to have one guy walk out the office, walk down a couple 100 feet, knock on a door, and then talk to another guy, and then before you know it, shit goes fucking south. All right, well, that's it for today, gentlemen. I think I went way over my allotted time, so you guys take it easy.